Welcome to the Dominate Your Niche podcast with me, Ruth Ferreira. Here we chat to some of today's best small business leaders, individuals who are shaking up their industry and dominating their niche. The show tackles all things business growth, from strategy, marketing and branding, and delves into the secrets of what it takes to dominate your niche. The aim of this podcast is to empower founders with big dreams, small and micro businesses, and even solopreneurs who are looking to make a big impact. People who are hungry to learn from those who have gone before them and implement that knowledge to next level in their own business. So welcome, lean in, and then go take action to propel yourself towards dominating your niche in your small business. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Dominate Your Niche podcast with me, Ruth Ferreira. Today's episode is all about getting knocked down and giving yourself grace in that situation. So, for those of you who don't know what's been going on with me, for those of you who are thinking, you sound like shit, you are quite right. At the moment, I have COVID. I was away a couple of weeks ago at the Atomicon conference having a whale of a time. It was bright, it was colourful. There were 1,500 awesome entrepreneurs and marketeers in a room together. And of course, the germs were flying. And I've been watching others go down with it or hearing about others going down with COVID since somebody tested positive just after the conference. And I was actually feeling like I might have skipped it. And then on Saturday, I started feeling worse and worse and worse, and ended up actually doing a COVID test that my NHS sister had left over from the load she got delivered during lockdown. So a really old COVID test, because I was about to go to one of my favourite clients' 50th birthdays, and didn't want to be that person, and tested positive. So whether or not I've tested positive, I still feel rubbish, exhausted, and struggling to be upright. And this podcast is for anyone who's had something sideswipe them in their business, something that's just come along unexpected and completely taken them out. So it might be illness, it might be burnout, it might be kids being off school, it might be something that you've planned for, like the kids' summer holidays. Or, life just sometimes implodes and you have to take your foot off the gas in your business. And the key thing I want you to take away from this is you're not alone. It happens. It happens to everyone at some point. It happens to some of the most successful people I know, whether or not they're talking about it. And it's okay to take a break. So a few things that I just want to share. The first one is to be kind to yourself in this situation. We are fundamentally humans. Like, yes, we're running businesses, but there's always that guilt and that pressure and the feeling like we need to be running. And it's okay to stop. It's not a weakness to stop. It's wisdom to be kind and give your body what it needs in that time. So the second point is listen to your body. What do you actually need? What's your body saying to you? So often when something big happens, like we start to crash, we start to burn out, or we get ill, it's because our body's been telling us for weeks this is coming and we've been ignoring it. So check in with yourself and ask yourself, like, what is it I need? Do I need to get out in nature? So for me, I'm Pisces, often being by a body of water is really grounding. Sometimes we just need to go and sleep. Sometimes we need to put some music on and dance around the room and just reset our energy. Sometimes we need to just take the time to go and have coffee with a friend and have a chat. So ask yourself, what is it you need? And then honor that. Don't overthink it. In terms of your work and your crazy busy calendar and your to-do list, assess what's genuinely urgent on that list. What needs to happen today and what can wait? Just because you're taking a break, it doesn't mean everything needs to stop. But often 90% of the things that are on our list for that day don't need to happen right now. So assess what actually can be delayed, what is essential, and what is just busy or ego or whatever it is. So make a list of essential to do today and can push back. And then reach out to people if there's meetings that if you have to push back, you have to delay. The fourth point here is people are human too, and they are much more understanding than you think. I've actually just rescheduled 2 of my mastermind groups that were going to be online while I was away on holiday. I am going to Bali for a month, so, it's a long holiday. I was planning to work there, but I was a bit worried about the timing, the Wi-Fi connections. And I've just reached out and said, can we push this back a week for both of them? And of course, everybody said yes. I wouldn't have done it if it hadn't worked for anyone. But people are human too, and they get it. And actually telling people what's going on, if you're, for example, I've told people I'm down with COVID, told them I'm feeling shocking. You don't need to labor the point, but just letting them know what's going on and saying, can we reschedule? Like, oh, my child's sick. Today she needs to be my top priority. Can we reschedule? Or I had a couple of years ago, I twisted my ankle, I sprained my foot, I think it was. Hilarious story. Be super careful walking on grass verges when the grass is long, guys. I did not see a massive pothole. And I stacked it and was like crying on my own on the pavement. Great story for another time. But that really took me out because it was taking all my energy just to get around. And again, honestly, like my people, they really got it and they were really supportive to the extent actually somebody who later became a client actually picked me up and chauffeured me, bless her, to a networking event. So yeah, sometimes it's more than understanding. Sometimes people go out of their way to bless you in this situation.
Are you ready to grow your business this year? Join me for Supercharge Your Month, a 60-minute clarity and strategy workshop to reflect, plan, and get super strategic to make your growth dreams a reality. The first Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. for just £97, or free if it's your first time. My gift to you. Book on now via the show notes. See you there.
And then look for the silver lining. So have a think about if everything's different, if your day is not going as planned, what is the silver lining? What is the opportunity? And I'm not saying to get busy, but for example, I because I've scaled everything back and I'm having quite a restful couple of days just trying to recover, I had the opportunity to look back on a workshop that was available to me, the recording of a workshop. I didn't make it on live, and it's a workshop, honestly, I probably never have normally attended. It was run by a lady called Nikki Marchant, and it's all to do with activating your joy. And it just felt right in the moment. And because I'm being kind to myself and allowing myself more space than I normally would in my very structured, busy days, I jumped on the recording and it was beautiful. And it's really reset my energy into a beautiful, joyous place in honestly like a really tough and boring and not very joyous week. So sometimes having that time just to slow down, it can be the headspace we need. It might bring clarity. Unexpected gifts can pop up from the worst situations. So it's that whole thing when life gives us lemons, look for the opportunity to make lemonade. So in summary, it's okay to take a break. This pause, it's not going to undo your progress. It's not going to destroy your momentum. And actually, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I remember when I did the London Marathon, I definitely walked for a good chunk of it. It wasn't intentional, but I got through. And it was one of the biggest achievements of my life. So remember that rest is part of the resilience. We can't always be going. Sometimes we need to stop, listen to our bodies, and give ourselves that break. So if you're in that place right now and Do you know, I can actually picture a couple of people that I know will probably be listening that I'm speaking to. If you're feeling you're unwell, you're overwhelmed, it's all feeling too much. This is your permission just to take your foot off the gas and have a little downtime. It's not a failure, it's a reset. It's giving you what you need to come back stronger. I hope this has been helpful today. If it resonates, then jump on my social media and tell me. I always love feedback, especially on my solo episodes. And apologies that it wasn't perfect today. I've coughed. I think I'm going to leave those in. Got a bit of COVID brain fog, so I've been searching for words. And honestly, like, I sound probably fairly different to normal. But I wanted to show up authentically exactly where I'm at today and give you permission, if you need it, to do the same. Sending you lots of love.
Thank you for listening today. If you like what you hear, please hit subscribe and leave us a review. Even better, come connect with me, Ruth Ferreira, on LinkedIn and Instagram. I'd love to get to know you.